Hi, this is Rob Pierce with worshipbasics.com, and today I would like to talk with you about what time. How do you get everyone to agree on a time for your startup contemporary worship service? This is going to be one of the biggest hurdles that you face when you're in the planning stages of a contemporary service. It's the number one argument you're going to have up front. What time do you do this service? Schedule changes, frankly, just rock the boat. Whenever you are trying to make a schedule change for the entire church, people are not going to be happy with it. You just never get everybody perfectly thrilled about any change in the church, and you're just going to have to expect that. And the traditional service is kind of a sacred cow in a lot of traditional churches. There's no getting around it. Anything that you do in a church that's going to interfere with that service, whether it happens at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, is just going to raise hackles on some members of your congregation. So bear that in mind and try as much as you can to make peace with the people who are really sold on the traditional service. Hopefully, they also really want to support an outreach to others with a contemporary service, but as much as you can, try not to mess around with the service that you already have that's established. Now, some general guidelines. First of all, Sunday morning is the best time for church. 90% of people just believe that Sunday morning is church time, so if at all possible, go with a Sunday morning service. When you have your service depends on where you're going to hold your service. Some churches hold a contemporary service off-site. They may hold it in a library, or they might rent a room, a storefront. And if you're going to do that, what time you hold your service depends on when the space is available. If you're going to use your fellowship hall, well, if the fellowship hall is in use at some point on Sunday, you're going to have to avoid that time. So if you decide where your service is going to be, a lot of times that'll help determine when you're going to hold it. You should also know your target congregation. If you're going to target young couples or young families, don't hold a service at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. People like to be out late Saturday night, especially young folks. So if you are just not going to have a really easy time attracting that target demographic super early in the morning. So think about that during the planning stages. And as much as you can, you should also try to make some connections between the services. Think of that during the planning stages. It's possible for you to have an 11 o'clock congregation and a 9 o'clock congregation who don't know each other at all. People may go to the same church for years and not even know that they do. If possible, try to work out your services so that there can be some fellowship time over coffee and donuts or something in between, just so people can make connections. Now, some options. First of all, early time slots are a good idea. If you can do it earlier on a Sunday morning, it won't interfere usually with the traditional service. Not too early because of what we talked about earlier, but earlier time slots on Sunday mornings often work out pretty well. You could do it opposite Sunday school, which is a great idea. I know some people are going to say, well, that means that we're going to have adults that aren't in Sunday school, and it means we're going to have kids that aren't in worship. Our service got around those issues by holding evening options for adults, sometimes short-term Bible studies that worked out very well for us. And we have our children attend the worship service for about 20 minutes. They sing praise and worship with us, and then they have the children's message, and then they go to Sunday school for about 40 minutes. That's how we got around that program, or that problem, and it's actually worked out very well for us. So you could consider that. Sunday evening service has worked out for some congregations. Didn't work out very well for us, but I've known congregations that have done a great job with Sunday evenings. Also, Saturday evening services. We tried this and it just failed miserably in our particular church, to be honest with you. But I want to leave this open as an option because in some churches this does work out, especially if you are a traditional, maybe Catholic church. Catholics have a tradition of worshiping on Saturday nights. If you are going to start a tradition or a contemporary service in a Catholic church, you may have some luck with Saturday evening. So go ahead and keep it alive as an option. Getting a consensus, a hard thing to do a lot of times when you have a large group of people together, but here are some suggestions. First of all, you should know that you're not going to get 100% agreement. It's very rare. Go into that understanding that you aren't. You should also understand that you're not going to find a perfect time. Any time you come up with is going to cause some sort of a problem, so go into it with your eyes open, understanding that. You should also really try to emphasize to everyone that you are doing an intentional missionary outreach. You're reaching out to members of your community, and missions often involve sacrifice, either financial sacrifice or sacrifice of your time. In this case, you're probably going to be sacrificing some convenience. You're going to be accepting inconvenience for the sake of spreading the gospel. If you can sell that to the congregation, and it is the truth, then you'll have a lot more success in getting a consensus, I think. You should also agree to a limited time trial, especially when you're first starting the service. If everyone says, okay, we're going to try this time for a set amount of time and see how that goes, many times people are willing to live with it for a while to see how it works. And if everything works out, you can keep it. And if it doesn't work out, well, you try something different. And as long as you go into it knowing that you're going to have to do some workarounds, that there are going to be problems, but let's see how we can get around those problems. What are some things that we can do? If you understand that you're going to have troubles and you're committed to working around them, a lot of times you will be able to get a consensus. But suppose you have a really tough committee and you're just having a very difficult time arguing forever about when you're going to do it. Here's some suggestions, few steps that you can take to break through those barriers. First of all, list all the suggestions that people have. Get them up on the wall, put them on a whiteboard, put them on newsprint, but get them up where everybody can see them, every suggestion that everyone has. Then have everybody on your committee, everyone in the room, vote for your favorite two. Why your favorite two? Because that forces you to vote for yours, and everybody will have their own idea. So you'll vote for your own, and then you've got to vote for somebody else's too. And once everyone's voted for their favorite two, you can narrow it down to the top 3 selections. Count up all the votes, and you'll have 3 that got more votes than others. You can maybe expand it to 4 or 5, but I recommend keeping it lean. Just the favored few. From there, everybody casts one single final vote for the narrowed selections. And everyone agrees that you're going to try whatever the winner is for 1 year to see how it goes. You can try it for less than that, but I recommend giving it a full year so it at least can get some staying power. You can get the word out and see how it goes. And you should also agree that after that year is up, you're going to reevaluate the time and decide how that's worked out. And if it hasn't worked, you can consider changing it to a different time, start the process all over again. Or if it has, but it needs tweaked in some way, then you can do that. Any way you look at it, I really highly recommend that you go through the process, that you find a consensus, and that you go ahead and get started. Don't plan forever. Really do the planning, but get things started. And God can always guide an object that's in motion. So seek His guidance, and any way you go at it, I'm sure that it will go well. Good luck, and God bless.